Good morning, everyone. This is Ben Weisner, your host for today's webinar. Thank you for joining us this morning for an introduction to Read Naturally Live Español with Corey Stye, Read Naturally's Director of Research and Partnership Development. Corey applies 20 years of educational experience to support educators, leaders, and policymakers with literacy, continuous improvement, and standards-based education. He's also put together one of the resource handouts for today's presentation, the Research and Rationale Guide for Read Naturally Live Español. Corey will be offering up some helpful background information about this exciting new addition to Read Live, and I'll do a short live demo of the program and show you how to get started using it. During our presentation, please ask any questions you may have using the questions tool in your meeting panel, and we'll make an effort to get back to as many of you as possible in the coming days with email responses to questions we may not be able to address today. You should have all received links to the handouts for today's meeting. The handouts are also available from the meeting panel if you'd like to download and print them out now. Many of you have also asked about a recording of this webinar. We'll be sending out follow-up emails with links to the recording in about 24 hours, so please look for that in your inbox. Feel free to share the recording with anyone at your school or district who you think would benefit from this very valuable information. And finally, if you are having technical difficulties, please contact GoToWebinar support. Their phone number is listed at the bottom of the meeting panel. And now, without further delay, I'm going to pass the microphone off to Corey Stye, your presenter for today's Read Naturally webinar.
Thank you, Ben. We're thrilled to have launched Read Naturally Live Español, and I'm glad you're excited to learn about it through this brief introduction. Ben and I today will be addressing three broad questions. First, I'll discuss why Read Naturally Live Español was developed. Then, Ben will provide a little guided tour of the program to show you around. Finally, I'll share a little bit about what research has to say about Spanish learning, English learning, and bilingual education. Just a quick grounding before we begin. Read Naturally Live Español is part of the web-based Read Live platform. It is accessible with a Read Live license at no additional cost. While it has been initially launched as a series within Read Naturally Live, within a few weeks, it will become its own component of Read Live, joining Read Naturally Live and Word Warm-Ups Live as separate intervention programs assignable to each student who has a Read Live license. So with that, let's get into the program. This program was designed to meet the needs of three distinct groups: English learners, Spanish learners, and districts seeking reading intervention programs flexible enough to meet the needs of students and educators in diverse settings. I'm going to briefly address each of these in turn. An English learner is an individual whose native language is not English and who is qualified for services through an assessment of English language proficiency. The number of students in the United States who are identified as English learners has risen steadily. Today, 1 in 10 students in U.S. public schools is an English learner. Put in raw numbers, there are 5 million students with English learner status. Of these students, 75% of ELs identify Spanish as their home language. More importantly, persistent score gaps between students with and without an EL status persist as seen in data like the National Assessment of Educational Progress, sometimes called the Nation's Report Card, and in graduation rates. Some of these statistics can be found in the rationale and research paper provided as a supplemental handout. Students identified as English learners, however, are highly diverse with widely varying backgrounds and linguistic profiles. For example, EL status includes learners who are brand new to the country, who may speak no English, second-generation immigrants born in the US and with significant exposure to English. These students may be emerging bilinguals or already bilingual. Students adopted internationally into homes with native English speakers, or students with limited or interrupted formal education, SLIFE itself is a diverse category of learners, which might include children of migrant workers with high mobility and interrupted schooling, or immigrants having lived in refugee camps. Given this diversity of backgrounds, districts need programs that are highly customizable and support students along a wide continuum of learning needs. This map from the National Center for Education Statistics reveals that many states now have more than 10% of their student population who are English learners, as shown by state shaded in dark green. We'll see in the research information after our program demonstration that multilingual learners are most successful when they are provided instruction in their native language. For 3.7 million of them, that language is Spanish. So the large and growing segment of the school population who are Spanish speakers or are emerging bilinguals need effective curriculum and intervention materials to support their Spanish language development, which in turn supports their English acquisition. Read Naturally Live Español is designed to support these students. In addition to the many Spanish speakers identified as English learners, there is an exploding population of students seeking to learn Spanish as an additional language. In the past 25 years, the number of enrolled students of Hispanic origin has doubled from 13.5% to 27% of the student body. For some of these students and their families, they desire instruction to support development in the language of their heritage. In the United States, there are 43 million native Spanish speakers and another 15 million with varying degrees of partial competence who speak Spanish as a second language. 1 in 5 K-12 students are currently enrolled in a second language program or course, many of these in high school language programs. 7.3 million of these students are learning Spanish. As you can see, in addition to the needs of emerging bilingual students learning English as a second language who benefit from instruction in their native language, there are also many native English-speaking students who stand to benefit from Spanish intervention supports. Beyond the educational benefits to individual English and Spanish learners, districts have seen increased focus on the education of multilingual learners in recent years, designed to improve the outcomes and close the gaps between current performance and grade level proficiency. The latest authorization of ESEA, the Every Student Succeeds Act, includes requirements that states offer assessments in languages other than English when used by a significant portion of the student body. These content area assessments offered in Spanish allow students the best opportunity to demonstrate their understanding without the limits placed upon them by limited English proficiency. Currently, 31 states and the District of Columbia offer at least one assessment in Spanish. Given the high stakes of state testing for allocation and access to resources, districts are seeking ways to support students in these early assessments. There are also local efforts encouraging or demanding provision of bilingual programs. For example, in California, the Multilingual Education Act, passed in 2016, requires schools to provide dual language programs when 20 parents at a grade level or 30 at a school request it. Finally, districts and other organizations provide programs that are as diverse in approach and setting as the students they're serving. There is need for curricular resources that work in multiple diverse settings and are customizable to allow tailoring of instruction to the needs of each group. Some of these contexts include ESL and transitional bilingual programs, dual language and immersion programs, migrant education, adult basic education, and of course, mainstreamed general education classrooms and special education resource rooms. The customizable story options, progress monitoring data, and opportunity to provide intervention in both English and Spanish within a single platform support educators across these various settings. The last reason supporting development of this program is the request of customers for more natural translations. The Master's Edition Spanish series was specifically designed to support acquisition of English reading proficiency. It offers direct English translations of stories in the sequenced series as a support for native Spanish speakers using the program. While these translations are highly supportive, offering many benefits like activating background knowledge, developing English vocabulary, and aiding in story comprehension, the word-for-word translations do not represent the natural speech nor writing conventions of Spanish. For this reason, many educators have expressed the need for newly developed translations of stories, as seen in Read Naturally Live Español, to support Spanish language development. Read Naturally Live Español has been developed with new translations of the Read Naturally Live stories to match natural Spanish usage. While there is no one standard for the Spanish language and regional differences in language usage are unavoidable, these new translations will better support the Spanish development of all learners. So to summarize, Read Naturally Live Español is a Spanish language reading intervention designed to meet students and district needs in a variety of educational settings and programs. It can be used alone to support the Spanish language development of a native Spanish speaker or a student learning Spanish as a new language. Alternatively, it can be paired with Read Naturally Live to support both an emerging bilingual student's English and Spanish language development. Now, to provide you a look at the program itself, I'll turn it back over to Ben.
Thanks, Corey. I'm going to switch out the presentation so that I can. Okay, so you should all see my my Read Live screen. And what I'm going to demo for you is how to access the new Read Naturally Live Español functionality. And the first thing I'm going to do is log in as a staff member, as I normally would. So currently, if you're using Read Live currently, you automatically have access to Read Naturally Live Español, and I'll show you where to find that. So you're going to go to the home page and then click on Read Naturally Live. As you can see, there is not a separate tile currently for the Read Naturally Live Español as there is for Read Naturally Live and Word Warm-Ups Live, but that will change in the coming months. But for now, the way that you access it is you click on the Read Naturally Live tile. And then what you would do is go to the Edit Assignments button. And currently, Read Naturally Live Español is listed as an additional series under the assignment screen. So before you had access to sequence, phonics, and idioms. Now you have an additional selection for Español. And within the Read Naturally Live Español series, you have access to 4 levels currently, from 1.0 through 2.5. That too will be changing in the coming months. You will ultimately have access to levels up through 4.5. So we'll be adding initially levels 3.0 to 3.5, and then in a later release, 4.0 through 4.5. And then you would assign the goal as you would with any other level. So that's simple. That's how you provide access to Read Naturally Live Español. Again, currently, because there's not a separate Read Naturally Live Español tile, a student cannot be in both the English and the Spanish version of Read Naturally Live. They can only be in one or the other, and again, that's through the series selection. In an upcoming release, you will be able to have a student be in both the English version and the Spanish version of the same passage in levels 1.0 through 4.5 ultimately. The other thing that I want to point out to you is when you are setting up your students for Read Naturally Live Español, we have always had the ability for you to add a Spanish read-along for the English language passages, but now you will also have the ability to add an English read-along for the Read Naturally Live Español series. And that has been changed to the wording of supplemental read-along. So whether your students are in sequenced levels or the Español series, you can add a supplemental read-along for many of the levels. I won't do that now because I want to demonstrate that for you a little bit later. So again, just to make sure that everyone saw that initial demonstration, I'll do that again. Very good. I'll do that again just to make sure that people know where to find it. If you go to the assignment column and click on Edit, you will see Español listed as an additional series along with idioms, phonics, and sequenced. And that's basically how you access it. And again, in the future, we will have the ability for you to select a tile in addition to the Read Naturally Live and Word Warm-Ups Live. And then again, just to make sure that everyone knows how to access the supplemental read-along, you simply select the student's name, click on Change Story Options for Selected, and you will be able to see that under the supplemental read-along. Now, I do want to show you what it looks like when students are accessing Read Naturally Live Español passage, and I'll do that by using our Login As button. This allows teachers to log in as students, and we've designed it so that you can do more easily remote screen sharing when using Zoom or Google Meet. And the first thing I want to do is show you what an English language level looks like in passage. So this is the
Please select a story.
this is level, oops, that's the wrong one, my apologies.
Please select a
There
story.
we go. This is the English version, or the Read Naturally Live level 1.5 in English. And as you can see, everything is in English, and Abraham Lincoln passage has been completed. And now I will show you what the Spanish, the Español version looks like. So I will log in as the student for Read Naturally Live
Por
Español.
favor, seleccione una lectura.
And just toggling back and forth between the two, you can see they are essentially the same. So Read Naturally Live Español is pretty much the exact same program as Read Naturally Live. The difference is everything is translated into Spanish. So let's do this. I will select a passage.
El béisbol.
¿Está listo para empezar la lectura?
And do the same thing for the English version.
Baseball.
Are you ready to start this story?
Haga clic en cada palabra clave para aprender la palabra y lo que significa.
Click each key word to learn the word and what it means.
Bateador. El bateador es el jugador de béisbol que trata de pegarle a la pelota con el bate.
Batter. The batter is the baseball player who tries to hit the ball with the bat.
So as you can see, the functionality is exactly the same. The content is essentially the same, but the instructions and the interface are in Spanish. One thing I want to point out to you is that teacher functionality, as I'll show you in a moment, is still in English. So if I click on the teacher accessible menu, you can see that all the instructions and menu labels are still in English. And here again is where you can turn on a supplemental read-along if that's what you want to do. So let's take a look at that. I will turn that on, and I'm going to turn off these other steps so we can get right to it.
Haga clic en Iniciar y lea juntos mientras se lea la lectura.
So just as in the English language Read Naturally Live, there is a Spanish read-along. In the Read Naturally Live Español, students do have access to an English language read-along with an English-speaking narrator. I won't go through the whole thing, but just listen to the first sentence.
Baseball is a fun game to play.
Haga clic en Iniciar para leer juntos de nuevo.
So students would have access to that English read-along and then go through the standard set of Spanish language read-along in the Español series. So hopefully that gives you some sense of the student interface. I do want to talk about some of the resources that are available. And just because we had a little bit of an issue earlier with the screen sharing not refreshing, I want to point out to you again, because this is critical, how you find the Read Naturally Live Español. It's very simple. Once you've added a student, you go to the assignment column, click on Edit, and make sure that you've selected Español as the series. And then again, the levels that are available to you are levels 1.0 through 2.5. The other things I want to point out to you are the resources that are available. First of all, I want to go to our website and show you that there is a product or a program page. Keep in mind that Read Naturally Live Español is entirely free with your Read Live subscription. There's no additional cost, but we do have a separate product page for it. So if you have Read Live currently, you do have access automatically to Read Naturally Live Español. There is no additional cost. You do not purchase it separately. It just comes with your Read Live subscription. The Read Naturally Live Español product page you can find under the About Read Live menu. And this gives you some information about what's included, how-to information, etc. If you know how to use Read Naturally Live, you know how to use Read Naturally Live Español. It's just in Spanish. The other thing I want to point out to you on our website is there is an ELL strategies page that you can find under the research section. This will give you more information about the programs that we offer and how they support English language learners. The Read Live Help page, which you can access again under the Read Live menu, Read Live Help. And then this contains a set of a variety of videos, but at the bottom right-hand corner, there is a section for Read Naturally Live Español, which includes links to the user guide, to a Spanish language steps poster for students, a placement document, which is really important for those of you that are just getting your students started in Read Naturally Live Español. It will walk you through the steps for placing them. Our current placement program that's built into Read Naturally Live is in English language. So you can use this placement document, which again you can find in the Read Live Help page, will guide you through the process for placing your students in Read Naturally Live Español. And then finally, the Read Naturally Live Español user guide, again, which is linked from the Read Live Help page, can be found here. And again, the steps are exactly the same. They're just in English language. Okay, I'm going to pass it back to you, Corey, here in a moment. Oops. There we go. Okay, Corey.
All right, thank you, Ben. All right, can you see us back at our demo screen here?
Yep.
Fantastic. Thanks for that quick tour, Ben. Lots of resources available. If, as you're getting into the program, you have any questions, we always encourage you to reach out to customer service, where we can support you with any new programs or existing programs. So at this point, we're going to wrap up today. If I can get my slide to, there we go. We're going to wrap up just briefly about research. We're only able to cover a few highlights in this brief introductory webinar. However, one of the handouts sent with this invite or available where you found the recording of this session is the Read Naturally Live Español Rationale and Research paper. This paper goes into the items I'm summarizing today at greater length. The two areas I'm going to highlight are the benefits of first language instruction to English learners and the benefits of dual language programs over other models of supports. First, the National Literacy Panel's report on developing literacy in second language learners found in its review of quality studies that language minority learners clearly benefit from instruction in the key components of reading: phonemic awareness, phonics, fluency, vocabulary, and comprehension, just as native speakers do. However, the panel and others have found that this instruction is necessary but not sufficient. They recommend that learners receive explicit supports in oral language development, vocabulary, building of background knowledge, and attention to new sounds in a new language of instruction. While not explicitly an oral language development program, the conferencing between teachers and students at the past step allows opportunities for teachers to model and students to practice oral language as they converse about students' retellings, discuss the stories, and review comprehension quiz questions. The quiz questions model academic language, utilize some sentence stems that model academic discourse, and require answering of open-ended questions. Vocabulary development is supported throughout the program in many ways, beginning with keyword preview, the ability to click on vocabulary words to hear pronunciations, the support of English story read-alongs, as Ben just showed you, for non-native Spanish speakers, and vocabulary reinforcement through vocabulary questions and application of vocabulary within the quiz. All Read Naturally stories are nonfiction stories that build knowledge across content areas with significant supports to aid in comprehension. This builds background knowledge for students as they are practicing their reading and working towards proficiency. Now is a good time to remind everyone also of our unique idiom series within Read Naturally Live. Each level of this series explicitly teaches 36 common American idioms and is a great supplement and provides additional practice for intermediate learners. As an intervention program, it's assumed that best initial instruction will have taught the new sounds of Spanish, but lots of supports here to supplement what is otherwise best instruction in literacy for students. Beyond those benefits, within the Read Naturally strategy framework of evidence-based practices, research has found that the brain development that comes from being multilingual has clear benefits. This includes general and specific cognitive improvement, including improved attentional control, enhanced abstract reasoning, and improved metacognitive and metalinguistic awareness. Research has shown 3 benefits to bilingual or dual language instruction. Cross-linguistic transfer is the term for the knowledge and skills a learner knows in his or her first language that contribute to the learning of a second language. These include transfer of phonological and morphological awareness from one language to the other. Interestingly, research has also shown that instruction in a second language also has benefit to proficiency in the student's first language. This reverse effect is known as retroactive transfer. And finally, most of students' understandings about reading are not language specific. This knowledge includes information such as story structure, genre, the purposes of reading, and the like. By embracing and providing instruction in a learner's first language, the strengths and assets she or he have can be fully utilized to support learning and to provide opportunities for students to fully engage and demonstrate their learning. Not only has research found that bilingual instruction benefits students, or bilingualism itself, it has been shown to be a superior approach to supporting students to reach grade level proficiency and close the performance gaps between English learners and non-English learners. A moderate effect size has been seen benefiting bilingual education over monolingual education. The starkest data comes from longitudinal studies that have shown that dual language instruction, in which students receive content instruction in both English and their first language, closes the gap on average within 6 years. However, transitional bilingual programs and ESL through content area supports close only half of that gap within the same time. As we wrap up for today, Ben and I would like to leave you with some resources for additional exploration. In addition to the program page that Ben showed you on the website and the many supports that are available through the Read Live help page and the program page, there are several research briefs and white papers that go in depth into the research findings for phonemic awareness, phonics, and fluency. The instructional benefits of the Read Naturally strategy framework for evidence-based practices, as well as the science of reading and the needs of students with or at risk of specific learning disability in reading. Finally, I want to put in a plug for a great webinar presentation we recorded a few years ago with Dr. Lori Hellman on ways to support students learning English within the classroom. So links to all of those resources are available here on the screen and within the handouts for you to access as well. So with that, thank you for all that you do to support all of the students within the classroom and joining us today. And Ben, I'll leave it to you to wrap up for us.
Thanks, Corey. That was helpful. I do want to answer a few questions that came up during our presentation. So again, to reiterate, there is no cost for Read Naturally Live Español if you currently have the program. If you don't have Read Live, you can sign up for a free trial on our website, 60-day free trial, and that will give you access to all of our programs under the Read Live umbrella, Read Naturally Live, Word Warm-Ups Live, and Read Naturally Live Español. A question came in, is Word Warm-Ups available in Spanish? Word Warm-Ups is not available in Spanish. The phonics series will not be available in Spanish, or the idiom series. Only the Read Naturally Live sequence series levels, currently 1.0 through 2.5, are available, but we will be adding 3.0 through 4.5 in the coming months. Another person asks if you have a student in Read Naturally Live in a sequence series, can they be in the Español series at the same time? The answer currently is no, but we will be changing that in the coming months, where students can be in the exact same level, 1.0 through ultimately 4.5, in both Read Naturally Live and Read Naturally Live Español. Currently, that is not the case, but that will be available in the coming months, sometime this spring. A question about reports. Our reports in Spanish reports are available in English. However, when students get to the review work screen after they've done past activities and the teacher and the student are working together, either in the classroom or in a virtual space using Zoom or Google Meet, you will be able to view the student's progress with a Spanish language report. You can view it in either English or Spanish, but all printed reports are in English. And just to reiterate again, there is not a Spanish placement program currently. I showed you the placement document that's available to you from within the Read Live help page. I do recommend that everyone access that, view it, print it out, and use that as the steps to complete placement for your students in Read Naturally Live Español. And I think that's all I have for now. If you do have other questions, feel free to email me, ben@readnaturally.com. You can always respond or reply to one of the webinar invitations. Thank you to everyone who attended. I apologize for the technical glitches earlier. Another reminder that we will be sending out follow-up emails with links to the recording in about 24 hours, so please look for that in your inbox, and feel free to share that recording with anyone at your school or district. Also, if you could please respond to the survey that will appear on your screen as you exit the webinar, so that we can continue to improve this educational experience for all of you in the future. Thanks to you, Corey, and thanks again to everyone else, and have a great rest of the day. Take care, bye-bye.